It was 6:47 a.m. on a gray March morning in New York City. From above, Manhattan looked ordinary, commuters heading out, coffee carts opening, the usual rhythm of a city that never stops. But on the Upper East Side, one luxury apartment was about to become the center of a story that would stun the entire city. Inside apartment 17B, officers from the 19th Precinct stood frozen at the doorway. No signs of forced entry. No broken glass. No struggle. Everything looked perfect. Except for the body of a young woman lying on the polished marble floor beside an overturned glass of red wine. Detective Michael Torres adjusted his gloves and scanned the room. Designer furniture, dim morning light filtering through half-closed blinds, a faint scent of expensive perfume still hanging in the air. On the coffee table, a single wine bottle, half empty, 2 glasses, 1 lipstick stained. Torres. Whoever she was, she trusted whoever came here last night. The medical examiner crouched beside the body. Female, early 20s, South Asian descent. No visible wounds, no bruising. Just a stillness that felt wrong. The first response officer handed Torres a passport found near the kitchen counter. A name was written inside, Priya Sharma, 19 years old. A student ID from Columbia University confirmed it. Close up on the ID photo, a bright smile. Cut to the lifeless hand beside the glass of wine. The contrast hits hard. News started to ripple before the police even left the building. Dead body found in luxury apartment, possible overdose, the headlines whispered. But Torres didn't buy it. There was something too neat about the scene. The phone on the nightstand had been wiped. Laptop, missing. And the building's security cameras? Disabled the night before. Detective Torres turned toward the dining table, where a single folded piece of paper rested beside a half-burnt candle. Neat handwriting. Just 2 lines. I'm sorry. I never wanted it to end this way. Torres exhaled, glancing back at the body. Sorry for what? He muttered. Was it suicide? A setup? A message meant for someone else? The camera lingers on the note. Wine glass. City skyline beyond the window. Before that morning, Priya Sharma was just another student chasing her dream in New York City. But behind her bright smile and scholarship success lay secrets that would lead investigators into a web of money, manipulation, and betrayal. Who was Priya Sharma? And who was the last person to see her alive? Before we continue, I want to ask you something. Do me a favor of growing this family to 100 subscribers by subscribing to this channel, liking and sharing this video to other people so it could reach so many people. Thanks as you do so. Lest I forget, remember to comment on where you are watching from. Let us see how far our content is reaching. Before she became a headline in New York, she was just Priya. A 19-year-old girl from Mumbai, India, whose biggest dream was to make her parents proud. Her father, Rajesh Sharma, taught mathematics at a small public school. Her mother, Anjali, was a nurse who worked double shifts at a local clinic. Their apartment was small, 2 rooms, a balcony facing the railway tracks, but it was always filled with laughter, food, and faith in hard work. When the acceptance email from Columbia University arrived, Priya's scream of joy echoed down the hallway. Her mother cried. Her father called every relative he knew. She was the first in the family to study abroad, the hope of an entire community packed into one suitcase. At the farewell dinner, neighbors came by to wish her luck. Someone joked, "Don't forget us when you become a big software engineer in America." Priya laughed, but behind the smile, her hands trembled. She was excited, but terrified too. Because dreams always look different when you're standing at the airport. The night she left Mumbai, her mother slipped a tiny silver bracelet on her wrist, a good luck charm. Her father whispered, "Stay safe. Remember who you are." She promised she would. When Priya arrived in New York that August morning, the city felt enormous, glass towers, flashing lights, people who never looked back when they bumped into you. Her student housing near Harlem was smaller than she expected, one bedroom shared with another international student, but she didn't care. She was in America. Her first few weeks at Columbia were full of wonder. She aced her classes, explored coffee shops, and shared her adventures with her parents over late-night video calls. But slowly, the glow began to fade. The cost of living in Manhattan hit her hard. Half her allowance vanished into rent. Her part-time job at a coffee shop barely covered groceries. And winter, she had never known cold like that. By December, her scholarship couldn't stretch any further. Her parents offered to send more money, but she refused. She didn't want them to worry. She wanted to prove she could do this alone. Her roommate, Mara Patel, later told reporters. Priya was the kind of person who smiled even when she was struggling. She'd say, "It's fine, I'll figure it out." But sometimes, late at night, I'd see her scrolling through job listings, just staring at the screen. Priya started spending long nights in the university library, not just to study, but to stay warm and save on heating costs. She was determined to make things work, no matter what. If you were leaving your home at 19 for a new life abroad, what would scare you most, the loneliness, the pressure, or the fear of failing the people who believe in you? Tell me in the comments below, I read every one. It was during one of those late library nights in October that something unexpected happened. Priya's old laptop froze again, another technical nightmare before her big project deadline. Frustrated, she sighed and closed her eyes for a second. When she opened them, she noticed a notification on her phone. An Instagram message request. From someone she didn't know. The profile photo showed a middle-aged man in a tailored suit. His name, Marcus Wellington. The message read, "Hi Priya, I've been following your work. You're incredibly talented. I mentor bright young minds like yours. Maybe we could talk sometime." It sounded harmless. But that message was the beginning of everything that would follow. It was just past 9 p.m. on a rainy Thursday night. Most students had already left the Columbia University library, but Priya stayed behind, exhausted, hunched over her failing laptop. Her code refused to run. Her screen froze again, for the third time that week. She sighed, rubbing her eyes. The project deadline was midnight. Her scholarship depended on maintaining a perfect GPA, and right now, everything felt like it was slipping away. Having trouble with your system? Priya looked up. A tall man in a gray tailored suit stood across from her, out of place among the hoodies and backpacks. He was in his mid-40s, salt and pepper hair, the kind of face you'd remember if you saw it twice. His smile was polite, disarming. Marcus Wellington. He carried a small leather briefcase and spoke with the calm assurance of someone who was always in control. He gestured toward her laptop. "I couldn't help noticing, it looks like your drive crashed. I know a repair place that can fix it overnight, top of the line." Priya hesitated. She'd learned to be careful. But something about his voice felt safe. Professional. Within minutes, Marcus was calling a technician he personally knew. He spoke with ease, authority, like a man used to solving other people's problems. By 10 p.m., he handed her a claim ticket and said, "You'll have it back tomorrow. No charge." Priya was stunned. "Wait, but I can't let you pay for that." Marcus smiled. "Consider it an investment in brilliance. I like helping promising young people. It's what I do." He introduced himself as a tech investor and philanthropist who often visited Columbia to fund research projects. He talked about how he admired students who fought their way up from humble beginnings. Every word sounded rehearsed, perfectly balanced between charm and empathy. He asked about her major, her hometown, her scholarship. At first, Priya answered casually. But then she froze. Marcus mentioned something strange, details about her scholarship application that weren't public. He said, I remember reading that your essay focused on AI ethics. Powerful work. Priya blinked. How did you know that? Marcus smiled again, softer this time. Oh, I'm close with one of your department heads. Small world, isn't it? She nodded slowly, though the answer didn't quite sit right. How could a stranger she just met in the library know that much about her? For the next few weeks, Marcus appeared more often, first with casual coffee invitations, then with small acts of kindness. He'd drop off pastries, because students forget to eat, or ask about her projects, just to check in. To Priya, he felt like a guardian in a city that often felt cold and indifferent. But to those watching from the outside, it was starting to look like something else. He never crossed boundaries, not at first. He just made her feel seen, special, chosen. The kind of attention that feels good when you're lonely and struggling. One evening at a quiet cafe on the Upper West Side, Marcus leaned forward. Priya, he said, I've been watching your progress. You're extraordinary. You remind me of myself when I was your age. He sipped his coffee, eyes never leaving hers. I have an opportunity, something that could change your entire career. You'd earn more in a few months than most interns make in a year. Priya's heart raced. Finally, maybe a breakthrough, a way to fix her financial mess. But before she could ask what he meant, Marcus simply smiled. Let's talk about it properly. Somewhere quieter. Tomorrow night. She didn't know it then. But that offer, the career-changing opportunity, would lead her down a path she could never escape. If you are enjoying this story, do not forget to be part of this family by subscribing to this channel. When you grow up dreaming of success, you never imagine that the dream itself might be the trap. For Priya Sharma, that dream was unfolding too perfectly to question. By November, her life in New York had begun to glitter. The same girl who once skipped dinners to save for textbooks was now dining at rooftop lounges with views of the Empire State Building. All because of Marcus Wellington, the man in the suit who called her his protégé. He said he wanted to introduce her to people who could change her future. And he did. There were gallery openings in Chelsea. Private dinners with tech investors in Tribeca. Networking parties where champagne flowed like water and conversations began with, "Where did you summer?" For a 19-year-old from Mumbai who'd grown up sharing a small apartment with her parents and younger brother, it felt like a dream, one she didn't dare wake from. Marcus seemed to know everyone. CEOs greeted him with respect. Photographers waved him past velvet ropes without a glance. Everywhere they went, people treated him like royalty. He dressed impeccably, charcoal suits, gold cufflinks, that faint cologne that smelled like old money and danger. And beside him, Priya always felt smaller, yet somehow chosen. But something was changing. Her friends started noticing. Her roommate, Meera, remembered it clearly. She stopped hanging out. She'd come home late, wearing clothes she never could have afforded. When we asked about it, she just smiled and said, "Marcus is helping me network." At first, they were happy for her, who wouldn't be? But soon, her laughter sounded rehearsed. Her eyes, distant. She missed classes. Skipped study groups. Even her professors began to wonder why the once eager scholarship student now seemed distracted, drifting. Still, Marcus's world sparkled too brightly for doubts to settle. He introduced her as his "meant" to everyone, but always stood a little too close, touched her arm a little too long. When she mentioned her family during dinner one night, her parents' pride, her mother's daily calls, Marcus chuckled softly. "You're very lucky," he said. "But you'll see, not everyone back home will understand what you're becoming here." It was said like a compliment. But it landed like a warning. Priya didn't notice it at first, how her independence was slowly being traded for his approval. How his compliments were shaping her decisions. He'd say things like, "You belong in better circles," or, "You shouldn't waste time on people who don't see your worth." And soon, she started to believe him. Then came the moment that changed everything. It was a chilly evening in January. They were at an upscale Italian restaurant in Soho, sitting beneath dim lights and jazz music. Marcus looked at her thoughtfully between sips of wine. "Priya," he said, "I've been worried about you." She frowned. "Worried?" "Yes. Harlem isn't safe for a girl like you. Especially at night. You're valuable now. You need protection." She smiled nervously. "I'll be fine, Marcus." He leaned in, lowering his voice. "I have an empty apartment uptown. Upper East Side. Secure building, close to campus. You'd be doing me a favor by using it." Priya laughed it off at first. "I can't afford that kind of place." Marcus waved his hand. "Don't think about money. Think about focus. You need peace to study, right? Let me take care of the details." He looked at her the way someone looks at a deal already sealed. And for a second, just a second, she felt the unease. But then she remembered the way people treated him. The doors he opened. The comfort he brought. She didn't want to lose that. And so, with a quiet nod, Priya agreed to visit the apartment the next day. She didn't realize it then. But accepting that key would be the moment her freedom began to disappear. At what point does mentorship become manipulation? Drop your thoughts below, I read every one. Her moving into the apartment equals the irreversible step into danger. When Priya Sharma moved into her new apartment on the Upper East Side, it felt like stepping into another world. The kind of world she'd only seen in glossy magazines and Instagram reels. A doorman greeted her by name. The elevator had mirrors lined in gold. And through her living room window, Central Park stretched like a painting beneath the winter light. It was perfect, too perfect. Marcus Wellington had arranged everything. The lease, the furnishings, even the groceries waiting in the fridge. He told her, "Now you can finally focus on your future." But somewhere beneath the gratitude, a quiet unease began to hum. At first, the changes were small. Marcus would text her every morning, "Good morning, sunshine. Slept well?" Then every night, "Home safe?" It seemed caring. Protective. Until it wasn't. One evening, as she scrolled through her phone, she noticed a new icon she didn't remember installing. A small blue shield, labeled Guardian Safe. Marcus had installed it, for her safety, he said. "It lets me know you're okay, it alerts me if anything happens. Don't worry, I use it for all my ments." Priya smiled politely, but something inside her tightened. She didn't realize it yet, but that little blue icon meant Marcus could now track her every move. Over the next few weeks, her new life began to shrink, slowly, invisibly. Marcus started making gentle suggestions about who she should spend time with. He said, "Mira's a nice girl, but she doesn't think big enough. You need friends who match your ambition." And so, without meaning to, Priya began declining invitations. He'd frown when she talked to classmates after lectures. He'd remind her to stay focused when she mentioned social events. Every word sounded like guidance, but it was a cage disguised as care. The apartment that had once felt like freedom began to feel like glass. Clear, beautiful, but sealed. Even her calls home started to feel staged. When her mother asked how she was adjusting, Priya would smile and say, "Everything's amazing, Mama. You'd be so proud." But as soon as the video call ended, the silence of that luxury apartment wrapped around her like fog. And Marcus was changing too. The man who once made her laugh during long dinners was now colder, sharper. He noticed everything, what she wore, when she replied, how she spoke. He'd say things like, "You look tired, I prefer when you wear your hair down." Or, "Don't post so much on Instagram. Privacy is part of success." Each comment seemed harmless, but together, they rewrote who she was. Then, one night, Marcus arrived unannounced. He claimed he'd been, in the area, carrying 2 glasses of wine and that same calm smile she once found comforting. They sat by the window, the city glittering beneath them, and for a moment, she thought maybe things would go back to normal. But then his tone shifted. He asked about her day, her schedule, her messages. Then, leaning forward, he said softly, "Priya. I think it's time we made this personal." Her stomach dropped. She forced a nervous laugh, unsure if she'd misheard. But Marcus's expression didn't change. He reached across the table, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "You're special," he whispered. "I don't want to share you anymore." That night, for the first time, Priya saw the truth flicker behind his perfect smile. The truth that this was never mentorship. It was ownership. She didn't know it yet. But this was the moment her life stopped being her own. If someone offered you a free luxury apartment with no strings attached, would you take it? Let me know below. By February, the line between mentor and lover had blurred until it almost disappeared. Marcus Wellington no longer acted like a guide. He behaved like someone who owned the hours of Priya Sharma's life. He had started calling more often, 3, 4, sometimes 6 times a day. If she missed one, he'd text, "Are you avoiding me?" If she answered quickly, his tone softened again, "That's my girl." For every compliment, there was a condition. For every kindness, a price. Then came the dinner that changed everything. It was a Friday night in late February. Marcus arrived with a bottle of red wine and the same easy smile that had once charmed her. But the air felt heavier this time. The conversation turned from her classes to her clothes, from her grades to her gratitude. He leaned back in his chair, swirling the wine in his glass. "Priya," he said, "you know I've invested a lot in you, your apartment, your security, your future. Don't you think relationships like ours should be mutually beneficial?" She froze, her fork halfway to her lips. He went on talking, calm, persuasive. "I'm not asking for anything you don't want. But special people have special arrangements. You deserve to be taken care of, and I deserve honesty. Real closeness." When she didn't answer, he laughed it off, kissed her hand, and changed the subject. But the message was clear. The next morning, she woke up to an envelope on her desk, $2,000 in cash and a note. "For your time and brilliance." That was the moment she understood what kind of relationship Marcus had always intended. And for the first time, she felt truly trapped. He alternated between sweetness and silence. If she replied quickly, he flooded her with affection. If she hesitated, he vanished for days, then returned with apologies and expensive gifts. It was psychological warfare disguised as love. When she finally gathered the courage, Priya made an appointment at the Columbia Mental Health Center. She told the counselor, Dr. Lisa Rodriguez, that she was in a complicated situation with someone older. Lisa listened quietly and asked if Priya felt safe. Priya paused a long time before answering. "Sometimes," she said. "But less and less." The counselor suggested she start documenting things, messages, calls, gifts, just in case. Priya nodded, promising she would. But she knew Marcus checked her phone. So she couldn't risk it. A week later, he came by unannounced, cheerful, carrying takeout. He talked about her next internship, about a possible trip to Boston together. He poured wine, made jokes, watched her relax again. By the time he left, she almost believed the worst was over. She tidied the table, collected the plates, and saw it sitting there. Marcus's sleek black laptop, half hidden under a napkin. She called his name out of habit, though he was already gone. Then she stared at the device, the screen faintly glowing as it slipped out of sleep mode. A notification popped up in the corner. A message from someone she didn't know. It read, "We need to talk about the other girl." Priya didn't know it yet, but the truth waiting inside that laptop would destroy everything she thought she understood about Marcus Wellington, and about the kind of man she had let into her life. At first, Priya didn't mean to look. She just wanted to check if Marcus had logged out of his accounts, but curiosity has a way of walking people straight into their worst nightmares. She clicks on Documents. Then on a folder named Special Projects. Inside are dozens of subfolders. Each one labeled with a woman's name. Alyssa_Paris. Nina_London. Rachel_Berlin. Priya_NYC. Priya's breath catches in her throat. She double-clicks her own name. Inside, hundreds of photos. Her walking to class. Eating lunch. Laughing with friends. Even asleep in her own bed. Every image time-stamped. Every file organized like data. Marcus hadn't just been watching her life. He had been documenting it. Then, she opens another folder, Transactions. Rows of bank transfers flash across the screen. Thousands of dollars wired between accounts in Zurich, London, and Dubai. Some labeled, Consulting. Others, Arrangements. And in the notes section of one payment, she reads. NYC Project, Status, Active. She clicks back into the Special Projects main folder. Her shaking finger hovers over another name, Nina_London. Inside, she finds videos. Short clips. A young woman, mid-20s, sitting in a lavish apartment, smiling nervously at the camera while Marcus's voice, calm, almost friendly, asks questions. You trust me, don't you, Nina? Yes, of course. Good. Then don't ever mention me to anyone. The video cuts abruptly. The pattern was clear. Young international students. All women. Each from modest backgrounds. Each lured with promises of mentorship, money, opportunity. And each disappearing from Marcus's files after a few months, labeled closed. Different cities. Same method. Same man. It wasn't mentorship. It was a network. Priya's hands are trembling now. She clicks open her messaging app, scrolling through her chat history, every kind word, every promise, every compliment, now rewritten in her mind as manipulation. Her heart races as she takes out her phone. She starts recording the screen, moving through each folder one by one. Then, a sudden ping. A new message appears at the bottom corner of the screen. It's from someone she doesn't know. The profile picture, a young woman with dark hair and tired eyes. The message reads. Don't open any more files. He'll kill you if you tell anyone. She scrolls up to the sender's username, Nina_London. Nina. The woman from the videos. The one whose file was marked closed. Priya types back quickly, her fingers shaking. Who are you? What do you mean? 3 dots appear. Then vanish. The message disappears from the chat. The profile too. She looks back at the laptop. The screen goes black. Then a message flashes. Remote access enabled. Someone else was watching. And they now knew, she'd seen everything. If you discovered something like this, would you go straight to the police, or try to confront him first? For the next 3 nights, Priya Sharma didn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the faces from Marcus's laptop, the girls who had vanished, their smiles frozen in digital frames. Her phone buzzed endlessly with unknown numbers. Sometimes it was silence. Other times, just breathing. By day, she went through her routine, attending classes, working shifts at the cafe, pretending everything was normal. But inside, she was unraveling. She had backed up Marcus's files to a hidden drive, planning to go to the police, yet every time she tried, her courage faltered. Because Marcus wasn't just powerful. He was connected. If she accused him without proof, no one would believe her. And if he found out, no one would protect her. Sarah, concerned. You look like you haven't slept in a week. What's going on, Priya? Priya. Sarah, what if someone you trusted wasn't who they said they were? Sarah. Then you walk away. You tell someone. Priya. It's not that simple. I think he's done this before. To others. Sarah reaches across the table, grabbing her hand. Sarah. Then we go to the police. Together. That night, Sarah waits for Priya to call. She never does. Detective Torres. When we pieced it all together later, we realized she was terrified, but she also wanted to be brave. Victims like Priya, they think they can fix things quietly. They think they can reason with evil. But evil doesn't reason. It waits. March 18, 2024. Timestamp appears on screen. 6:42 p.m. CCTV footage shows Priya entering Marcus Wellington's Tribeca penthouse. She's wearing a pale blue coat, clutching a folder under her arm. She pauses by the door, glances at her phone, one unread message from Sarah. Please don't go alone. That was the last time anyone ever saw her alive. Would you have gone to confront him, or run while you still could? When Priya Sharma failed to show up for her morning lecture at Columbia University on March 19, her absence raised quiet concern. By evening, it became alarm. By the next sunrise, it became a police matter. Inside, detectives found signs of a dinner for two, wine glasses still half full, a plate overturned on the marble counter. But there was no sign of struggle. No fingerprints that didn't belong. No blood. And no Priya. Her phone was gone. So was Marcus Wellington. Detective Torres. When we traced Wellington's movements, we found something odd. He left his apartment around 9:30 p.m. that night. Security footage showed him calm, composed, holding a small leather briefcase. By midnight, he was gone, his car abandoned near JFK Airport. Within hours, his bank accounts were emptied. Offshore transfers to Switzerland, Dubai, Singapore. Almost as if he had prepared for this moment, weeks in advance. But what investigators found next changed the course of the case. 3 days after Priya's disappearance, encrypted files began appearing online. Posted from an anonymous account traced to a VPN in Iceland. Each file bore the same name, Project Mentorship, Recovered Data. Inside were hundreds of documents, photos, and videos, identical to the ones Priya had discovered on Marcus's laptop. But there was something new. Each file had a timestamp showing it had been uploaded after Priya was confirmed dead. How's that possible? The digital forensics team checked the metadata. Every upload originated from Priya's encrypted backup drive, the one she had hidden. Which meant someone else had access to it. Detectives recreating the final hours, piecing together her timeline like fragments of glass. 6:42 p.m., Priya enters Marcus's building. 7:18 p.m., her phone location pings near the penthouse. 9:27 p.m., Marcus exits alone. 10:06 p.m., her backup drive activates remotely from a separate IP address. Detective Torres. That upload, it didn't come from the penthouse. It came from somewhere across the city, right near Central Park. Was someone helping her? Or had Priya known this would happen, and planned it herself? Then came the second shock. 1 week after the story broke, Columbia University received an anonymous cryptocurrency donation worth nearly $250,000. The note attached simply read, "For the girls who never got the chance. P.S." The transaction was verified. The sender's digital signature matched Priya Sharma's blockchain wallet. But that's impossible. Her wallet had been inactive since the night she vanished. Was this Marcus's twisted game? A final manipulation from beyond the investigation? Or had Priya orchestrated one last act of revenge, ensuring the truth would surface, even after her death? To this day, Marcus Wellington remains a fugitive. Interpol believes he may have fled to Switzerland under an alias. But the encrypted uploads didn't stop. Every few months, new files appear, detailing more victims, more evidence, and more secrets that only someone close to him could know. Some believe Priya's ghost is still haunting him digitally. Others believe she had help, from someone who wanted revenge. Do you think Priya planned this upload before her death, or is someone else exposing him now? Drop your theory in the comments. I read every one. Spring came late to New York that year. The city that never sleeps seemed unusually quiet the morning Columbia University held a memorial for Priya Sharma, the girl who came to chase a dream, and ended up revealing a nightmare. Her parents had flown in from Mumbai, clutching a framed photograph that had once sat on their living room shelf. It was taken the day she left India, suitcase in hand, eyes full of hope. Now it stood beside a candle on an empty stage. The dean spoke first, calling her a light that inspired many. Then, her best friend Sarah Chen stepped forward, voice trembling, clutching a folded note. Priya was the bravest person I knew. Even when she was scared, she couldn't stay silent. She wanted to make sure no one else suffered what she did. Detective Torres. She wasn't a victim in the end. She was a witness, one that spoke louder than any of us expected. Those uploads, the documents, the money, they all carried her voice. Even after death, she forced the truth out. But justice is still waiting. Nearly a year after Priya's death, Marcus Wellington remains a ghost in the system. Interpol believes he may be hiding in Europe under a new identity. But every few months, new encrypted files surface online, each one signed with the same digital tag. PS_19. Some say it's a hacker continuing her legacy. Others whisper it's Priya herself, her digital echo, refusing to be silenced. Back in India, Priya's parents created the Priya Sharma Foundation, an organization offering scholarships to young women studying abroad, teaching them not just to dream, but to stay safe while doing so. Her father, Rajesh Sharma, said during the launch. She went to America to build software. But she ended up exposing one of humanity's darkest bugs, manipulation disguised as mentorship. Every year, on March 18, students gather near the Bethesda fountain to light candles in her memory. They share stories of resilience, post resources, and read her final message, the one retrieved from her encrypted drive. Don't let your fear become someone else's power. That line has since appeared on posters, protest signs, and social campaigns around the world. Her story, tragic as it was, ignited conversations that many had avoided, about power, exploitation, and the hidden costs of ambition. Priya's life was short. But her courage outlived her. Every whisper of her name, every click, every share, every comment, keeps her story from fading. Because the truth is, justice doesn't always wear a badge. Sometimes, it wears a memory. Do you believe justice was truly served for Priya Sharma? Share your thoughts below, and subscribe, so her story is never forgotten.